Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Well, hey everybody, welcome back to Giga-Texas. It's a Friday. It's also the 1st of September. Can you believe it that August is already over? It's kind of amazing to me to think that we're already into September, but work doesn't stop here. And before I get into what we're going to see here at Giga-Texas for the intro, just want to remind you that I'm doing a multi-part series on the construction of Tesla's lithium refinery down at Corpus Christi. I've already released part 1. Part 2 will be coming out very soon, and I hope that you enjoy all the information that we talk about for that facility. Now, coming back here to Giga-Texas, first thing is, now that the Model 3 Highland has been revealed, I think the Cybertrucks, who have been kind of laying low here for a while, decided to start coming back. We did get a chance to see, as you can tell by this image, at least one of the Cybertrucks are now out at the outbound lot. Still has the cover on it, and it looks a little lonely, so hopefully we'll see some more Cybertrucks out here. Now for construction, some interesting developments. First, on the south end of the building where they're doing the preparation work for the building extension, I noticed that there's at least 2, maybe 3 large square excavations with, right in the center, a helical or a screw type pier. Now, I'm not sure exactly what this is for, but normally these types of piers are used to help reinforce a slab, and so the rebar will be put around the top part of that pier, and then they'll put slabs. So it's a different kind of construction that we're seeing on the south end. Going across the highway, we get a chance to see a lot more of the steel erection for the new end-of-line facility. As you can tell by this set of images, about, I don't know, maybe a third of the north end has got all the steel, while on the south end, a lot more concrete has been poured and a lot more of the slab is being prepared for pouring. And they're rapidly reaching that south end. Now we're going to fly on the west side. Farther to the north, I want to just show you the progress with the Tesla road expansion. You can see how they've added asphalt, and they're working up near where that intersection with Farm to Market 973 is. And overall, this project is coming along pretty quickly. And finally, we head over to the battery cathode plant on the east side, where I want to show you some changes with that large opening where we saw those 3 7-story pre-assembled platforms with equipment moved inside. Not only has that operation been completed and the rail system that was used to slide them in has been removed, but we can also see steel beams have now been installed across that face, which means we're probably going to start seeing that area being sealed up. Also nearby, as you can tell here, the crane that was used to assemble those tall platforms is being disassembled itself, and all of the counterweights are getting ready to be moved onto a truck to finish that disassembly of that crane, and then that will be moved off site. So a lot of progress over there as well. So otherwise, a lot more to see, wide-ranging flight today, and I hope that you enjoy everything that we're able to see and talk about in the video. As always, thanks for your support. Have a great weekend.
Thank you to my Patreon members and ex-subscribers. Members and subscribers gain access to hundreds of high-resolution images, previous and future material, and direct dialogue with me. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Starting today on the south end, where you can see River Road extension on the left and bottom of the screen, continuing with some trenching leading up to this concrete intersection. A lot of work going on the south end of the building as well, and we'll get some closer in views. And of course, that road work with the concrete extending to the north parallel to the building is continuing its progress as well. As I fly over the tree belt and some of these ponds, I want to give you a good look at the construction site for the multi-level garage and how this is continuing to develop. You can clearly see the new outfall channel kind of on the bottom and right of the screen going around this section. More work on the grade work to get that level, and you can tell that it's quite active today. Some of the gravel mix has been placed in this kind of a rectangular section as well. On the left of the screen, you can see those pipes and that area where the truck is driving over that allows the water to flow over to this diversion. And we see some more work on the north part. It looks like some gravel has been placed and some more earthwork as well. There's also a series of channels with riprap in it, and these are what will divert some of the water. In fact, you can see some water in the one right in the middle of the screen. That may be a test just to verify the operation of these new channels and also those underground pipes to help let the water flow through. But overall, this site is continuing to progress quite a bit. Looks like there's been some water trucks spraying water to control the dust on this section as well. And this kind of an island with all the trailers and the cars may soon be needed to be moved. I don't know. We'll have to continue to watch the construction going on here. The white staining work continues on the exterior walls moving towards the north here on the east side of the stamping machine structure. And as I zoom in, this gives you a good view of some of the materials and other activity that is going on here today. This whole south end is getting a lot of interesting deliveries, and we'll get a chance to see many of them later in the video. So we're going to proceed over the power lines. I'll bring the drone down and we'll get a good look at the south end coming up. One of the notable developments here on the south end is that the continuous flight auger pier drilling cranes and machines have moved farther to the west. As you can tell, this whole section here just south of the stamping 2 seems to be pretty cleared out now. Maybe they're completed with the piles here. As I zoom in, this gives you a good look at the steel studs being placed onto the beams and columns to finish up this section. I've had some viewers say that they don't think these are temporary walls, they think that they're permanent. That may be. The materials that they're using certainly suggest that this would be an interior wall at some point because the fibrous boards that they are using, even though if they're fireproof, they are not meant to be out into the weather. So that gives us maybe a clue of how the rest of the construction on this south end is going to continue. As I turn the drone back to the west, you get a good sense of the yellow wall material that is filled in the gaps on the exterior walls. Here's the continuous flight auger system, the drill on the right, the crane on the left, and some of the cylindrical rebar cages here at the bottom of the screen getting ready to be put in to continue that pier drilling operation. Now, I did notice something very interesting next to this particular pier. This is one of at least 2, possibly 3 of these square excavations, and right in the middle there is this device with kind of a cap. I'm not sure if these are pipes or if they are helical or screw type piers. In any case, this is something new and something I'll have to continue to watch to figure out what these are. But if you happen to know, let me know. That would be great in the comment section. Speaking of deliveries, you can tell many trucks here, some of them with wooden crates, some of them with black tarps over the materials, all lined up to move into this side of the building through those 2 temporary platforms. Here's another close-up of one of those square excavations with that capped off item. Again, I don't know if that's a pipe or if it's a helical pile. The work on the studs and that wall material to fill in the gaps here continues, and you can see some more of the materials on the ground. And then this is a very interesting delivery on this truck, some white painted items and then this coned shaped item as well. And on the inside there's actually a fan unit, so it may be, I don't know, part of a very large air extracting system that they're installing in this part of the factory. More deliveries on the bottom. You can see some of those white funnels. That's for an air filtration system. More of those large wooden crates. And of course, these shiny steel tubes and other materials, which is most likely part of the heating and ventilation system throughout this section, at least on the third floor here. Another set of deliveries here next to the west side of the General Assembly. Also, it looks like some more of these pre-assembled white and red platforms with some robotic assemblers already in place. And directly ahead, we can also see a lot of these white and red, they look like carts, a lot of carts. Maybe this is part of the continued completion of the assembly lines within this particular area. But this is the first time I've seen this many carts all delivered at the same time. Now, I've been having some interesting rumors that for the next several weeks, the Cybertruck portion of General Assembly may be shut down for added equipment and also retooling. And you can see quite a bit of this equipment all arrayed out on this side of the factory. And it may support the fact that they are going to be doing quite a bit more work on General Assembly lines 2 and 3 within this portion of the factory. And if that is the case, there may be a few weeks of greatly reduced or stopped Cybertruck production. So something I'll continue to monitor. As we get to the west main entrance, we can see that polished black stone-like material continues to be installed on that center trapezoid, and more of the stainless steel cladding has been installed on the beams and columns. As I zoom in, this gives you a really good view of the current progress. It looks like there may be 50% of that trapezoid covered with that material. So I'm going to climb up, we're going to cross over the highway, and we'll take a look at the work on the west side of the highway today. The steel assembly of the new end-of-line facility continues to grow. We see those triangular shaped columns on both sides of the north part of the foundation. Also some more being installed kind of in the middle section. Some beams also have been installed, most likely for stability of the structure right now. It looks like there's a column already installed right in the middle and more on the ground ready for their installation. In addition to that, concrete work continues. We can see another section has just been poured. We have crews that are on those riding troweler machines, getting that all leveled out. And on the south end, we see even more of that yellow moisture barrier and rebar installation. So this is going to be yet another section getting concrete soon. And then the last section, still getting the trenching and plumbing. That'll be probably in another week or so, getting ready for its concrete slab. So they're really moving along pretty quickly. On the south end here, you can see a lot of the activity with the trucks bringing more dirt. They're continuing to finish up the graded section here, and the grade has now been raised up, so it's nearly level completely across this section. As I zoom in, this gives you a good view of the south end and the trench work that is still underway. Also, on the center of the screen, we can see where the new car staging and transportation lot will be. There's a lot of trenching for those concrete water pipes being installed, and that progress is continuing as well. And here's some closer in views of the north end with the steel beams and some of the columns already installed as well. So let's proceed up towards the north while we stay on the west side. We'll approach into this material staging location with these white tents. You can see the road kind of going through this section. This is one of the two ways for the vehicles to come in from the north down to the south side. The other is on the left, where we can see that new road continuing to be developed and progress towards the north as well. Here is where the windows from the south end have been moved. We saw them all being added onto these rack mounts. In fact, there are more rack mounts here as well, but now they've moved them over here for safekeeping to keep them away from all of the heavy machinery for that extension construction that is underway on the south end of the building. More of the steel materials and some concrete materials here. This is where a lot of the steel gets modified by this welding shop off the left of the screen. Many of those triangular columns that we saw down at the end-of-line facility apparently not only were stored up here, but some of them were actually modified as well. So this is where that work took place. And there's a lot more steel here, and I think a lot of this may be for that facility on the west side, but we'll continue to monitor. Tesla Road's extension continues. It looks like maybe some of the pave work has been done on the south portion of the new road. More work on that intersection with Farm to Market 973. And here's a good view looking down at the work that is underway. They may have to do yet another pass of the pavement to complete that installation. As we fly back towards the factory, I'll give you a good look towards the south. You can tell that it's quite hazy today at the time of flying, and I think some of that is dust and some of it is just the starting to be the change of temperature and conditions here now that we've entered into September. So let's get ready to resume the video on the east side of the Central Highway. We can see there's two trailers or trucks with a lot of Model Ys just stopped there on the frontage road getting ready to continue their delivery. And here the Megapack site also is showing a lot of progress. Underneath the power lines on the left, we see more conduit. On the bottom of the screen, more of that conduit. This is how the Megapack site will be connected over to that switch yard. We also see work here with that catchment basin around the transformer. Has got the forms for the walls, and it looks like maybe some of the rebar, so hopefully we'll see some of the concrete poured and then they can get that completed as well. As I keep the zoom in on the Megapacks, what I'm trying to show you is the amount of wiring that still is remaining to be completed. Looks like about halfway on the east side and the last, I don't know, 8 Megapacks on the right side. You can see those yellow, red, and orange wires that they continue to work on. And of course the tent structures to help with the workers stay out of the really intense sun and the heat. As I continue to turn the drone around and start facing back to the north, you can also see the progress on that perimeter fence. Not only is it on the southeast and west sides, but they're starting to work on the extension to the north as well, especially on the right-hand side of the screen. But this is a good overall view of how this installation looks today. So let's get ready to pop up over the power lines, and we'll take a look at the south end of the electrical switch yard and the activity there shortly. Here's a good top-down view of what's going on here. The two control trailers are in place, more of the trenching. There's concrete vaults that are being constructed. They look like boxes. You can see the crews working that conduit into that, and that shows you how it's going to take a 90-degree turn and enter into that large concrete vault that has been recently completed. On the bottom, you can see that red concrete over the conduit. Again, that is a safety measure for future workers that may be excavating in the area. The retaining wall, that temporary retaining wall, is completely removed. It looks like they're doing some additional excavation between those trailers and that fence structure. And this is a good overall view of how the switch yard and the Megapack looks from this perspective. So let's fly all the way over to the far northeast and take a look at the work that's going on in this section of the site, and then how the battery cathode plant and the complex of structures looks today. As we fly over those hills and ponds that are the remnants of the old sand and gravel mining operations that took place here, this is a good view of just how far north much of this excavation work is continuing. And underneath the drone is more of those hills and ponds separating that large field on the right to this field here where the rental equipment is mostly maintained and stored until it's needed around the site. and that rounded top tent is where they do the maintenance. I'll bring the drone down here to give you a good nearly ground level view look at the excavation work that is going on here. Also, this entire section used to be tree lined. There's just a few trees left and kind of those islands where the power line poles are located, but otherwise this gives you a really good sense of just how much excavation and grade changes have been going on here in this part of the facility. As we continue to fly back towards the battery cathode plant, we can see the materials that continue to be stored here waiting for installation. Some of the workshops, parking lot on the left, and of course the cell test lab in this small steel structure at the middle of the screen. We also see that looks like work is being done on the exterior walls with that yellow wall board, and it looks like they're getting ready to fill in that section. The close-in view here of the cell test lab shows you some of the work that's going on here with these blue, it looks like maybe heating units or maybe some air handling units, maybe also some air conditioning units as well. The wade pit looks like not being used right now. They do have some of those concrete dividers and that steel frame that was used for the crash wall in the crash test facility. As I fly in towards the crash test facility, you can get a really good view kind of into the section. It looks like there's 3 of those red vehicle lifts, and also on this structure just to the north where that green forklift is, it looks like that kind of a large metal wall unit has now been moved, possibly down to the south end. Speaking of which, on the south end of the battery cathode plant, this large opening is now getting 2 of those beams across the opening, which signifies that they are now completed with those 7-story tall pre-assembled platforms with the equipment, and all 3 of them have now been moved inside. The rails that were used to slide them in have been disassembled as well, and the crane itself is being disassembled, and the counterweight's getting ready to be moved off of that crane. As we pull back, I can show you some more images of the cell test lab. In fact, on the just at the bottom and the end of the opening, you can see that kind of a brown steel structure. That's part of that crash wall, and I'd mentioned it has been moved down to the south side. And this gives you a really good view of the overall work and progress on the east side of the battery cathode plant. So I'm going to fly sort of to the southeast. I'm going to give you just a quick view of all of the activity here on the far east, a side that we don't normally get a chance to see in the videos just because it's so far away. But here, this gives you a sense of the trailers that are used by the contractors that are building the factory, a lot of the vehicles for those contractors and the workers, a lot of materials that are stored in this section as well. On the left-hand side, those white items, those are large racking systems that are used in kind of warehouses waiting for installation. And this is the recycle yard that not only recycles the old wooden crates, but it also recycles some car bodies, and even we've seen some of the structure packs being recycled as well. The superchargers here at the bottom of the screen still waiting for their new permanent location at some point in the future. The East Warehouse on Wheels on the left is still very active. We can see that employee overflow lot on the left-hand side of the screen, and there's a major change where the TKS paint system items used to be, and I'll give you a closer look at that a little later in the video. But as we approach into the alleyway between the battery cathode plant on the right and the die shop on the left, this will get a good view of some of the activity that is going on here with a lot of trenching, some HDPE pipe installation. There's been some new tanks being installed on the left-hand side of the screen. That small lower one on the left that just went off the screen was just added a couple of days ago. We can also see another Matheson tank and vaporizers on the left-hand side of the screen. And of course, those 3 tanks at the northeast corner of the building. As we fly up over this chiller plant, this just gives you a good view of some of the activity that is going on here. Again, this is a very complex chiller unit, so it's taking them quite a bit of time to make progress, but they are making progress, slow but sure. I'll bring the drone up over the roof. I will fly around the north end, and I'll give you a good look at how the north end looks today with the receiving doors, the concrete aprons, the kind of the retaining walls, and also just the way that section looks. Here is a good look at the well, and also I'm pulling back to take a look at the pond that continues to get filled in as well. It looks like they're draining out more of the water. The steel corrugated pipe for the underground water management system waiting for its installation, and of course the workshop and that steel structure with possibly a furnace or a kiln here on the northwest corner of the die shop. As I fly along the west side of the die shop, I wanted to get a good look at what they're doing here at the window line. Again, there's a lot of looks like scaffolding and platform work just on the inside of where the windows are, and possibly it looks like they're putting in some of the frames that will hold the windows. So maybe we'll see windows installed in the relatively near future. Now, as I mentioned, you can see that the cars are now parked where the TKS paint system used to be. All of that system has now been moved inside for installation. We just have this one remaining dip tank that has just been delivered by truck. And we've had several of these that being delivered over the last several months. You know, with the rest of the TKS system already moved inside, it kind of gives us an idea and maybe some more support for the idea that there's going to be a few weeks of downtime as they do some more retooling and installation of equipment for the interior of the factory that may affect Cybertruck production. But speaking of which, there is one Cybertruck here today. It's kind of the lonely Cybertruck, just sitting here by itself under a cover. This is the only one that I did see today. And again, with the rumors that I talked about, we'll find out whether or not the production is slow for the next several weeks or not by just watching the outbound lot and seeing what materializes. However, the Model Y production looks like it's roaring ahead and not slowing down whatsoever. So just keep in mind, if we hear those rumors, it may just be related to Cybertruck only, but the rest of the production is going well. Here's a lower altitude view of the site where the multi-level parking garage will be constructed. This gives you a really good view of the work that's going on here at this north extension that has been added recently. And of course, here's a lower altitude view of where they've been doing what I think is water testing to verify the operation of these new outfall channels. Again, you can see the concrete tubes going underneath that drive path, and then the remainder of the original outfall channel going underneath the road. And then here is the sedimentation basin, and this is designed as part of the water management system for Giga-Texas. Here's a little bit different view of the testing and calibration lot, the test track on the bottom, some of the white tent area where some of the checkouts are done, and of course the work that's going on to supercharge all of the vehicles. I'll zoom in and give you a good look at the east main entrance. You can see there's a black Model Y. It has those horns. That is the famous Model Y that was filmed jumping on the northeast corner of where the battery cathode plant is, and that was used for Cyber Rodeo in April of 2022. You can also see a lot more equipment has been delivered on this side of the building. This may be related to increasing the production capabilities of the body in white, which is part of this structure. So again, that kind of goes along with the rumors that we've been hearing. This section here with the receiving doors showing some formwork and rebar as they prepare for the the receiving door leveler systems, and also preparing to do that concrete apron. And also you can see there's another small rectangular excavation near the wall as well. Here we see at the bottom of the screen that white truck. It looks like a lot of the wires are being fed through the conduit that extends all the way along this entire berm and this widened apron section, where now you see a lot of these man lifts, steel parts, and other items that kind of temporarily stored. I noticed that this on the roof here on the northeast corner. I'll bring the drone down and give you a good look at what's going on. There's 4 of these ducted fan units that are getting ready for installation. Now these may, and I don't know, but they may be added to those rectangular mounts that we saw being installed several weeks ago, or maybe even a couple months ago on this section of the roof. But it's very interesting to see these ducted fan units, and I'll be watching to see how these are installed and how they're going to be operating. But very interesting to see this change here on the northeast corner of the casting machine roof. Now I'll bring the drone down here, give you a good view of this corner. What you can see is all of the rack mounts for the castings have been moved away. This may allow more of the stain work, or it may indicate that some other changes have been are underway right now in this part of the factory. So another thing to continue to watch to see what they do. Here's a quick view of the activity here on the north end of the building, and it looks like more work continuing on this section, which is showing a lot of internal upgrades for the 4680 battery cell production here at Giga-Texas. So anyway, there was a wide-ranging, a lot of things to talk about in this drone flight today. I hope you enjoyed what we talked about and what you saw. And of course, thank you very much for your support. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.